Hi, Ash here at Pie Ranch, here to welcome you to episode 2 of This Here Nature. Today we'll be looking at gilled mushrooms,
as well as jelly fungi.
and others. Now, a couple of things before we jump right in. You have to remember, you see a mushroom out in nature, don't eat it, especially the ones with gills, as you can see right here. The gilled ones can be very, very poisonous, so just admire them, identify them, don't try to eat them unless you know exactly what you're doing. Another point to keep in mind, don't spread the coronavirus, stay at home if you're sick, please, please, please. In today's episode, we'll be examining the anatomy of a mushroom, specifically gilled mushrooms, and we'll also be looking at how to take a spore print, something anybody can do at home. It's a really fun activity that allows you to be able to better identify a mushroom and also leaves you with a really cool design. So let's jump right in. I did mention that when looking for mushrooms, it's good to have a reference, a book or an online resource of sorts. I like using this here. It's the National Audubon Society Field Guide to North American Mushrooms. It just has colorful pictures of thousands of different species of mushrooms. This tool really comes in handy when you're out in the field looking for different species. If you're trying to just get a quick fix on what exactly it is you're looking at. Sometimes you might have to take a couple more steps, like taking the spore print, etc. This here is a very good first step. Carrying one of these with you in the field, highly recommend. Today has just been a wonderful day for finding a lot of mushrooms. The high moisture in the forest has really made it so that a lot of them decided to come out and say hello. Now right here we have a bright yellowish brown mushroom with a very pointed cap. This part of the mushroom, this top part, it's called the umbo. You're able to see that it has gills. And from the gills, the mushroom releases its spores and reproduces. Now I won't be able to tell you what this one is in particular, because brown mushrooms like these are more often than not very difficult to identify. I like to call them LBMs, or little brown mushrooms. It's the way of saying that don't really know what it is and probably shouldn't eat it. Now right here we have something very special. This here's an amanita, and the reason I know it's an amanita is because at the base of the mushroom we have this white cup-like structure. See, here's the stem, and then there's this almost like white ring. This here is called the vulva. And amanitas, they like to grow out of what almost look like eggs. And this top part right here, you see this white stuff left on the top of the mushroom? That's the top of the vulva. So these mushrooms hatch and begin to expand their gills as they mature. Does have bright white gills. You can see right there. Amanitas can be poisonous. Some are edible, but for the most part, they're very poisonous. So if you ever see one, just try to identify it. Nevertheless, in the case of this one, the thickness of the vulva, in addition to the vulval remnants on top of the cap and the cap color, indicate that this is more than likely a cocora, a wild edible species of amanita. It can, however, be commonly confused with the infamous and deadly death cap. As you can see, gilled mushrooms more often than not like to grow in colonies. All these mushrooms here, they kind of look a little bit different, but these are a little bit older right here, and these are a little bit younger, the ones with the cleaner looking caps. They're all connected underground via that mycelium network. Mycelium are the thread-like roots of a fungus that allow it to absorb and distribute nutrients throughout the colony. This is one of the first features you begin to look at. You look at the type of gills that the mushroom has and how they're attached to the stem. As you can see here, these gills are kind of attached to the stem a little bit. They don't run all the way down the stem. There's a little bit of a notch in between the gill and the stem. That means that these gills are what's called sinuate, and essentially means that they're a little wavy. Unlike the gills of this mushroom over here, this mushroom here has what's called free gills. Right, if you look right there where the gills are close to the stem, they don't attach to the stem at all. In fact, they're completely free from the stem. These appear to be a lot closer together. As you can see, this is what you would call crowded gills compared to these. These have a little bit more space between them. Now, to take a spore print, you need a mushroom. Then you need to very carefully cut the stem off the mushroom, leaving the cap intact. You place it on a sheet of paper, and then you cover it with a cup and wait till the next day.
24 hours later.
Yesterday I picked up a couple of mushrooms, and I set them on a piece of paper, covered them with a bowl, left them overnight. Now we're going to check and see if we got any spore prints. So, oh, look, got a little bit right there. This mushroom right here has a brown spore print, as you can see. Look, this one's really neat. This is the same mushroom as the one in the beginning of the video. Wow, look at that. This has a dark brown to like a almost like purplish spore print. This one here is the same. Yeah, look at that. Purple brown spore print. And this one here, also purple brown spore print. So that easily tells me that these mushrooms right here, these three, are probably the same species. This one has a little bit more of a different cap shape, but they were all found in the same area. Now the reason we get a spore print is because overnight, as the gills rest on the paper, they release spores and they begin to accumulate. As you can see, I cut the mushroom in half to get a better look at how the gills are attached to the stem. I went online and I think I found something that looks like it. It matches all the descriptions. Gills on this mushroom are notched and partially attached, as you can see, and the color matches. The description says that not only does the cap on the mushroom appear to be like yellowish white, but there's a tanning towards the top and also like a yellowing towards the stem. The mushroom doesn't change colors. Some mushrooms do when you cut them or bruise them. And the gills go from being white to becoming almost grayish purple. Protostropharia semiglobata is a common California species that grows in the exact same habitat that we found this. So with 80% confidence I can say that we've identified this mushroom. Time for
Jelly fungi.
and others. This here is witch's butter. It's a very squishy type of yellowy jelly fungus that likes to grow on wood. They grow year-round and are found on every continent except Antarctica. This here is also medicinal and can be put into soups. It's very squishy and bright yellow. It can also look bright yellowish orange. Witch's butter. This here is more witch's butter, and this is a little bit bigger. As you can see, it's gained size as a result of the recent rains we've been getting. It's very squishy. Yeah, you only really see this fungus in parts of the forest where there's high humidity. It's very gelatinous and very watery, so once it gets dry, the fungus begins to turn into more of like this crust you see down here. But as you can see, this here is fresh growth witch's butter. Now this here is just very gnarly. These are very old jack-o'-lantern mushrooms, which is a type of bright orange mushroom, very big, that grows on rotting wood and at the base of trees. And they're bright orange and they glow in the dark, but these are very old, as you can see, because they're starting to get eaten by a different type of fungus. Oh, whoa, there's another species in there. So you have this like whiter, nastier mold going in there, and then if you look deep inside, it's like a big old blue mold. The penicillium mold is what the first antibiotic penicillin was derived from.
This concludes our
Gilled mushrooms.
episode. Stay tuned for the next episode where we'll be looking at
Coastal California animal species.
See you next time.